hold on to.
Scared me.
Hold on to her. I'll get up in one and. Hey guys, how's it going? We're back. So, huh?
Gonna check in after we did it.
Oh, well, so we're up at the coke ovens up here in Wilkeson. So we're going to give you guys a little bit of history on these and whatnot with these papers that I have, but bring you guys into these, into, you know, at least one of them, and show you kind of around. So this is what the inside, you know, there's obviously the entrance where I walked in, and then this one's got some graffiti in it, as you guys can tell. And then they also have a hole right here, which was for basically chimneys and whatnot, for when they're doing the burning of the coal and whatnots. And but yeah, these are the Wilkeson coke ovens, and as you can tell, also some of them have fell through, or the tops have fell.
Wait.
Now we got the Okie Dokies.
Well, her name's Oakley, but there's a bunch of nicknames that we have for her.
Call her Oakley Dokes, Oaks,
Oakley.
Dokley. But like I said, we're going to do a little bit of history on these. At least get the stick out. Can you hold these, please? So we're gonna try to set you guys up. What? Oh. Alright, so like I said, she wants to be the star of attention, huh, Okies? It smells like poo, dog poo. Unless someone of us stepped in some.
Not me.
Not me.
No.
So like we said,
Stay.
We
No.
have been planning on doing a video on this for a while and add it kind of to the channel as part of like the history of it. And you know, it's kind of nice because the town that we just took you guys through is the town that I grew up in, and it was also a part of the coal mining history and some of the stuff that I want to read in here, I believe, states stuff about Carbonado.
When we're done, can we go over there so I can see the bench?
Across the street? Or
No,
no?
right there.
Oh. But yeah, so we'll get into it and kind of go over things.
We have two different pieces of papers here for, oh, sorry guys, for notes and our information that we found. So we are probably going to read it off. Who's that?
Zach.
What's up? Sorry guys. Wait, that was Zach. Zach.
Hopkins.
That was Zach? Okay, anyway.
The red beard kind of gave it away.
I couldn't see him that far from here.
So
well, we know everybody, so you know that might happen once or twice.
So as you can tell, I don't know if you guys can hear the goober in the background, but that's also kind of the reason why I named the channel Goob's Outdoors and Adventure. Well, the Goob part of the Goob's Outdoors and Adventures, because a lot of my friends, family, and other people know me as Goob, Goober,
right here.
and whatnot. So
oh yeah, so don't mind us. When we're gonna read off of the papers, we don't have it memorized, so just bear with us. And I came in Crocs. I was not prepared.
So these behind us and that we walked into, one that we walked into, these are known as the Wilkeson coke ovens. They used them to burn down the stuff in the coal and use that stuff as for other things, which I believe it talks about that in the cheat sheets.
Cheat sheets. That's what they are.
So I also don't know if you guys are going to be able to tell or hear the chainsaws in the back because they're doing some logging, but it's way back.
They're doing back there?
Yeah, it's way up on the hill over there.
We might go. I don't know how this is gonna work. We didn't rehearse this. We just kind of were like, hey, let's go do this. So we might flip-flop back and forth between information. He might read all the information. I don't really know. We're just winging it.
Or we might just, switch back and forth.
I just said that.
Oh, apparently I'm not paying attention. So the Wilkeson coke ovens represents an early industry activity in Pierce County and the state of Washington, which had an effect throughout the Northwest. The examples of the influence of the railroad development of the area and one of the few symbols left in the county of which thriving in the coal industry. The Wilkeson mines played an important role in the maintenance in the economy. Viability of the Northern Pacific Railroad in Pierce County during the 1870s.
A long time ago.
That was well over 100 years ago.
Oh, like not 200. Never mind.
Not quite 200.
People make me nervous. I'm sorry, guys. Bear with me.
So yeah, like 100 and something years, 100 plus years ago.
No, it's not a friend.
The presence of coal in the county apparently was known as early as 1862 to 1863, and designated as the Puyallup River coal field. Not until 1868, and Coal samples surface from the hills above South Prairie, which is
No. Oh.
probably 10 minutes or so from here.
He has a thing.
They're searching for.
He has a, what is it called? There's a guy over.
I don't think they can hear you when you whisper.
Sorry. Never mind. What is that called?
Metal detector.
Yeah.
Now you made me lose.
Sorry.
Oh, in Tacoma, find examples of bituminous,
Bituminous?
if that's how, I don't know if that's how it's pronounced, but coal were shown from a trip conducted by Morton Matthew Carver, one of the founders of Tacoma. The coal burns freely, can be lit with a candle, makes no clinkers, and leaves an ash as white as that of wood.
Crazy, because usually ash or like coal is like black. So.
Well, it also leaves a bunch of sulfur. Well, not sulfur. Yeah, soot.
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 And then during the fall of 1874 and summer of 1875, many explorers confirmed that the discoveries and numerous claims were made under the coal land law of March on March 3rd, 1873. Man, there's a lot of people up here today.
I know there is, and I don't know why our dog keeps whining. Well, she keeps whining, and I don't know why.
So at this time, the Northern Pacific Railroad had just finished their line from Kalama to Tacoma. Oh, he's taking his Jeep off-roading.
Continue. Focus.
NP officially saw this as an opportunity not only to supply the railroad with local coal, but to satisfy investors who were threatening to pull out and leave to pending transconditional.
Transcontinental
project in jeopardy. So I'm not going to read everything on that page because it's almost done. Can you hold that, please?
Yes, sir. That wind, man.
But so a lot of the coal mining that was happening, not just in this town of Wilkeson, but up above in Carbonado, ran from, I believe.
You're fine. You are just fine.
I think it ran from like 1917, 1920-ish to I think like the 1930s or 1940s. But that's the highly prized bituminous coal found in Wilkeson burns hotter.
You're sitting on the water bottle.
Burns hotter after the coking process, which happened in these coke ovens behind us, and is more stable for firing and industry furnaces of the time. An experienced row of pit ovens were built, and 4 tons of coke was produced from 700 tons of coal. I don't know why I keep moving this way off camera, but
I don't know why either. You're pushing me. Stop.
The first coke, 1 million, 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 was used in Tacoma, Washington, and Portland, Oregon. Uh, Early accounts do not discuss where this first set of pit ovens stood, which from my understanding and from what I've heard and read, there was more ovens, coke ovens like this in other places. But in 1885, to Beehive designed, which, as you can tell from the ones behind us, they're kind of in a beehive. What are those? Beehive dome.
Beehive formations.
Yes. Were built in 1886. 9 were added, and first another 21 started. So, like I said, I don't know where the other portions of the coke ovens were established, and I'm stepping on water bottles. But yeah, it's got pictures, but who needs pictures when you got it behind you? Let's see, where did I leave off? The earlier row of Beehive ovens was abandoned in 1898, so 100 years, actually not exactly, but about 100 years before I was even born. All right, and now lies buried in undisclosed site farther north of the current Wilkeson Coke Ovens Park. At the current park, Tacoma Coal and Coke then built another 30 ovens in 1887 and again in 1891. 80 more ovens were built. In 1970, Wilkeson Coal and Coke Company added 60 more ovens. The final construction was the result of the enormous demand of coke during World War I. This would be the final number, a battery of 160 ovens of Wilkeson Coal and Coke Company was the title under the photo shown in the edition of the Wilkeson record published in 1917. Reportedly, there were 459 ovens in the state at the close of 1919. This includes coke ovens in the nearby places like South Willis using Wilkeson coal, Fairfax, which is past the little town that we went through before.
Past Carbonado.
Yeah, which was up past Carbonado. Montezum, and then Carbonado, Crocker, and Snoqualmie. Today, the other locations are either private land, have been complete, either on private land, or have been completely removed and or in worse condition than these coke ovens standing behind us. Let's see, what are we at? We're at almost 20 minutes.
That's fine. We can cut stuff out.
And somebody likes to, put their bottle in
our dog. Where am I
the
supposed
walking.
to put it? I have our dog. So, I have our dog. Would you like to take our dog?
Would you like to read?
I don't care. I have this I can read. You're almost done. You can finish.
And then firing the ovens to, so like I was saying earlier about the coal burning and melting it down, it explains it here a little bit better than what I did. Firing the ovens to smelt coke in Wilkeson ceased by the late 1920s or earlier 1930s. The coal mines closed much of their operations from the effects of the union strikes, and more directly as better fuels such as diesel and new industrial processes were introduced. Wilkeson mines were reopened for use in the World War II, but not the coke ovens. The mines shut down again after the war was over in 1945. In Wilkeson, small operators continued serving local schools and residential who still burned coal well into the 1970s. Eventually, striker mining safety laws made it impossible for small mining operations to continue. The town of Wilkeson had a reported 3,000 population in the town's heyday, which I'm not even sure if it's got that many people now.
I don't think it does. It's a pretty tiny town.
It's a lot smaller than this town. Wilkeson and Carbonado don't even compare to Centralia.
Oh, no, not at all. They're both like a you blink and it's gone. You blink and you're through it kind of town.
Today, the mines are sealed. The rows of company-owned homes, the huge coal bunker, mine office, the men's dormitory, the hotel and store are gone. Uptown Wilkeson is no more beside the bunker cement frame, only to remaining beehive coke ovens in Wilkeson are left to remind us of the early struggles of the Northern Pacific Railroads, the impact of Wilkeson coal on the region's industry, and the thousands of immigrants who worked in the Wilkeson coke mine.
So there's a ton of history back behind us. I know it looks kind of weird because there's not much to them, but there is quite a bit of history behind us with these coke ovens.
Well, not just with the coke ovens, but in general.
I'm getting there. It's my turn. You had your fame. Anyway, but just with these coke ovens and just like Goob said, coke ovens in general, there's a ton of just history behind them, especially back then when they did all the coal mining and stuff. My piece of paper, which it's not as long, I promise, so we're not going to be here as long. But it says it once known as the roughest mining town west of Butte, Montana, which is crazy because Butte, Montana is like 2 states away from where we are now. So to know that it was been one of the roughest mining towns west of Butte is kind of crazy because there were so many different mining towns for us to be one of the roughest. Kind of weird. Wilkeson has maintained its sense of community, small town charm, and history despite the challenges brought on by a 100-year history of changing economics and industry, including coal mining, smelting, logging, and sandstone mining. Which, with that, Washington, especially where we are now, logging is really, really popular for where we are now. Still to this day, it's popular. We have quite a bit of. Hey, babe. Come here.
Just a sec. There's some coal here.
Oh, is there? I was gonna say something. It's pretty popular still to this day. Coal mining is. Huh? That's why I wanted you to come here.
So.
Cut me off. Okay, keep going.
But here's a little bit of the coal that was in one of the coke ovens.
But yeah, like I was saying, which is really cool that there is still some coke or coal on the coke oven. Sorry, I'm paying attention to the car. Anyway, even though we don't do coal mining, smelting anymore, we still are very popular for logging. That happens still every day, as you might hear in the background. That's what they're doing now on a Sunday. Sandstone mining, I don't think still happens, right? We do have a rock quarry right to the right of us up the hill. I don't know if they do sandstone mining, but I knew that they do.
I think it is sandstone.
Is it?
I think so.
I just know that there's a rock quarry over there that still is in use and in business. The town was named in honor of the Secretary of the Board of the Northern Pacific Railway, Samuel Wilkeson. So it was named after him. Back in the day, the railway built a line to the town in 1876 after eyeing the wagons of coal that were coming into the nearby harbor city of Tacoma. So after I'm done with this video, or this is my little blurb, we'll show you guys that there is railroad tracks that is kind of like right in front of us, and that was used during this time too. With all the mining and stuff, the tracks were used. Nowadays, the tracks are used for what we call hand car races. It happens, I want to say in what, May? April, May, maybe June?
Well, the hand car races,
yeah.
Wilkeson days, I think it's July, I want to say it's like the third weekend in July.
But it happens usually in the spring, summertime, and they use this railway track to do the hand car races, and it's a big thing. So I'll show you those when I'm done here. It was officially incorporated in 1909, making it the earliest incorporated town in Washington state. As coal mining declined in the 1940s, the bustling hardscrabble town fell quiet, but its history does not end there. There is also a ton of history in the town itself. Down on Main Street, there's a bunch of old buildings that have history behind them too. It is known that one of the hotels here in Wilkeson is haunted. It's shut down now, but it's said to be haunted and like really haunted. In the absence of the mining companies, much of the staying power of the town of Wilkeson lies in its uniquely beautiful neighbor, Mount Rainier. The town lies on either side of the highway that is the fastest route to Mount Rainier National Park from the nearby cities Seattle and Tacoma. Established in 1899, FDR's New Deal in the 1930s brought a flood of new workers and funds to Mount Rainier National Park, establishing trails, campgrounds, and roads to the highest volcanic peak So from here, I want to say Mount Rainier is probably like an hour and a half. Babe? Hour and a half, 2 hours.
The base of Mount Rainier?
Well, just Mount Rainier National Park probably is at least an hour and a half, 2 hours from here.
One of the national parks is about an hour to an hour and a half.
Yeah. So it's kind of, tucked away, but yet still close to Mount Rainier. So if we're lucky, you get a really beautiful view. Today, many tourists in search of adventure Google the fastest route to Rainier and end up here in the northwest corner of the park, where there are breathtaking trails, rivers, hikes, campgrounds, off-roading opportunities, historic sites, fishing, and shooting opportunities. So to the right of us, if you go up the hill, up above Wilkeson, there is dirt roads that lead up there. And up there's a couple little areas to go shooting. And then at the very, very top of it, there is a really pretty lookout that you can see Seattle, you can see Mount Rainier, you can see, not Mount Rainier, you can see Tacoma, Seattle, Puyallup, you can see everywhere. It's beautiful. I'll try to find a picture of it from one of the last times we went up there and I'll insert it. And there is no visitor center or museum up here, but there is a big museum located in the southern entrance of the park called Paradise. So if you go up to Mount Rainier National Park, there is a spot called Paradise that you can go take a look at, a museum. There's a dog too. It's about 2 hours away. I was right, about 2 hours it says. So the town joke is that Wilkeson is paradise, just not the one you're looking for. It is, like we said, a tiny, tiny small town, but I love it up here. The Carbon River entrance station near Wilkeson leads to the only rainforest in the park, which there's an easy trail loop that you can walk with the kids. And the Carbon Glacier itself, one of the lowest glaciers in the United States. Malwich Lake, accessible today by car, is a gorgeous lake, the second most viewed site in all of Mount Rainier National Park. And it says in the year 2000, the remaining coke ovens now covered in dirt and vegetation, which you can see behind us. It's all overgrown and stuff. Hey babe, we're going this way. Yeah, you can see that there's a whole bunch of dirt and vegetation. Oh. So yeah, there's a ton. Oh. Huh? But yeah, there's a ton of stuff. Sorry guys, I'm getting distracted. There's people and there's dogs and stuff. Anyway, but you can see behind us that there's a whole bunch of vegetation and stuff going on. And don't mind Oakley. She's behind us. My name is her dog. You can hear me. It is busy up there. Oakley's whining because there's a dog walking with its owners and she wants to play with it. Last but not least, it occupied about 9.5 acres east of town, or the Coke Oven Park, occupying 9.5 acres east of town, was added to National Register of Historic Places. A walking tour can take you on an easy, safe to walk with families loop through all the history. So this basically is a walking path that you can take, that you can just see a closer view of each Coke oven, see what, there's not much in it, but you can see, is that thing in there?
I don't know, I can't go anywhere without being done.
But yeah, so I'll show you the railroad track that I was talking about real quick for you guys, so that way you can have a look.
We'll try not to make it as long, because it's going to be like a 30.
Yeah, sorry guys, it's going to be a long one,
minute.
but just bear with us. So these down here, oh gosh, are the railroad tracks. So they are pretty covered. They go all the way down past over there, and then they start just right up here. There is some seating for the handcar races, and then they start up here and come all the way down, and then there's a little curve that happens just right up here that they go down. So yeah, so
if you go down the railroad tracks or down the other walking paths, it takes you to like old abandoned, well, not abandoned buildings, but what used to be buildings.
Which, if we had more time today and if it was warmer out, we'd do that, but there's a lot of people and stuff that are around at the moment, so we'll probably skip that for another video. But I think
for now, if you like this type of videos or just outdoors or doing things adventurous, hit that subscribe button, hit the bell notification,
and give it a thumbs up for us.
And see you guys on the next one.
Bye guys.